The presidency of Lyndon Johnson represents one of the greatest paradoxes in American history. Daniel, a man who fought poverty at home while escalating a devastating war abroad. But what makes this story even more fascinating is how this crude, domineering Texan became one of the most transformative presidents for civil rights.
That's such an interesting point about the contradictions, Pappy. Here was someone who came to power in the most tragic circumstances possible after John F. Kennedy's assassination, yet managed to push through some of the most progressive legislation we've ever seen.
You know what really stands out about Johnson's approach? His famous Johnson treatment, this incredible method of persuasion where he would literally get in people's faces, follow them into bathrooms, and physically tower over them until they agreed with him. The man knew exactly how to use power.
Well, that's certainly not something we'd see today. But what's remarkable is how he used those aggressive tactics to achieve such compassionate goals. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 fundamentally rewrote American society.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the scope of what he actually achieved. The Civil Rights Act banned segregation and employment discrimination. The Voting Rights Act eliminated literacy tests that kept Black Americans from voting. Medicare and Medicaid created health care access for millions. These weren't just laws, they were complete transformations of American life.
Hmm. And what's fascinating is that Johnson, being from Texas, knew precisely what these civil rights laws would cost his party politically. He famously said they were losing the South for a generation, and he was right.
That's because he understood poverty firsthand. Growing up in the Texas Hill Country without electricity or indoor plumbing, teaching at a segregated Mexican American school, these experiences shaped his whole approach to social justice. When he signed the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, he actually went back to that school to do it.
So, what do you think drove him to take such bold action on civil rights, knowing the political consequences?
Well, I think it was a combination of moral conviction and political opportunity. Johnson understood that moments of crisis, like the aftermath of Kennedy's assassination, created openings for dramatic change. And he had this incredible mastery of the legislative process from his time as Senate Majority Leader. He knew exactly how to count votes and apply pressure.
That legislative expertise really shows in the numbers. By 1965, he had passed over 200 pieces of significant legislation, including Head Start, food stamps, the Wilderness Act, and the Clean Air Act. The scope is just staggering.
But then we get to Vietnam, and this is where the story takes a tragic turn. By 1968, we had over 500,000 troops in Vietnam, spending $2 billion monthly. The Tet Offensive that year completely shattered public confidence in the war effort.
You know what's ironic about that? The same qualities that made him so effective domestically, his determination and unwillingness to back down, led him deeper into the Vietnam quagmire.
Exactly. And here's a quote that really captures his domestic vision. Poverty must not be a bar to learning, and learning must offer an escape from poverty. He saw all these issues, civil rights, education, poverty, healthcare, as interconnected. You couldn't solve one without addressing the others.
That vision still resonates today. We're still debating voting rights, healthcare access, educational opportunity, and racial justice, issues Johnson grappled with.
And that's what makes his presidency so relevant, Pappy. It shows both the possibilities and limitations of presidential power. You can be absolutely right about some things and catastrophically wrong about others. His presidency really represents this crucial moment when America had to decide what kind of society it wanted to be.
Well, Pappy, that's such a powerful way to understand his legacy, as this moment when all these contradictions in American life came to a head. The dream of creating a more just society at home while pursuing a devastating war abroad.
And perhaps that's the most critical lesson from Johnson's presidency, Daniel, that even the most transformative domestic achievements can be overshadowed by foreign policy disasters. It's a reminder that presidential leadership requires not just vision and determination, but wisdom and restraint.